So now all of a sudden he cares about crime. In a recent press conference flanked by CHP officers, Gavin Newsom said he's going to start tackling crime by deploying more CHP officers into different cities all throughout California. We're going to get into that story and more. But first, if you're part of the 87% who think that crime is probably on the rise and probably has not gone down since Gavin Newsom has been governor, and you have not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you do hit that subscribe button. It does help with people finding us and helps with the algorithm. So let's get into this first story, a clip from that press conference to see just how Newsom answered a question when he was asked point blank, isn't it kind of contradictory what you're saying now?
Two messages today are kind of contradictory. On the one hand, you're mocking Trump's deployments and, highlighting the crime rates in red states that you say are higher, and at the same time, we're here because you're surging law enforcement across the state. So, do you believe that crime is a problem in California or not?
Well, sort of question, I made the entire point that crime's an issue and we want to tackle it, and we continue to do more in that space, and we announced and highlighted some of the expansion. What is not contradictory, respectfully, is that we're doing it in partnership with our local communities. We did it in partnership with the Biden administration prior. We're not talking about the nationalization, the militarization of the Guard and militarizing the United States cities. So, quite the contrary.
Thank you, everyone.
Now, Gavin Newsom stumbling a little bit after he was asked that question about, well, doesn't it seem kind of contradictory if you're now ordering more CHP officers into these cities because you're saying that crime is not an issue in California and then we have it under control, yet you want to deploy even more law enforcement into these cities to tackle crime? Because again, I guess crime isn't an issue, but crime is an issue that he wants to tackle. If you're seeming like there's something out there that maybe he could have grabbed onto politically that would have been popular with the people, that he could have championed and helped, there was something called Prop 36, which was passed by an overwhelming majority just a year ago. By about 70% of those who voted for it voted to approve Prop 36. And for some reason, Gavin Newsom just doesn't want anything to do with Prop 36. So for a man who says he's a man of the people and that he's all about democracy and all of that, he doesn't believe in this certain democracy because he doesn't like the fact that the people started this grassroots movement and passed Prop 36 by an overwhelming majority, that the people of California know that crime is an issue. He could have worked together with the proponents of Prop 36 and made it seem like the people have spoken, I'm going to work on it. But let's go back and look at Prop 36, because the fact that Prop 36 has not been fully implemented and not been fully funded by Gavin Newsom and by Democrats in Sacramento, it's causing a lot of angst. And I would say it's basically, for a lack of a better term, kind of a middle finger to the people who supported it and voted for it.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is facing criticism for allegedly ignoring voters by not funding Proposition 36, an anti-crime ballot measure.
Prop 36 never included organized retail theft, never addressed that issue, never addressed the issue of vehicle crimes, never addressed the issue of multi-jurisdictional prosecutions. It primarily addressed the issue of nonviolent drug possession.
The Attorney General broke with Newsom, arguing the measure, which increases penalties for repeated retail theft and fentanyl dealers, deserves funding despite budget concerns. Prop 36 passed with nearly 70% of the vote, but Newsom hasn't prioritized its implementation. Proponents argue tougher consequences are needed to address rising retail theft, while Newsom claims the measure is too expensive and ineffective.
New tonight, shockwaves at a town hall in LA's South Bay. LA County's sheriff and district attorney and the calling on the governor to increase funding on Prop 36. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf at that meeting tonight, and he's live with the outcome. Matthew?
Well, Marla, it was a town hall on Prop 36. We expected some discussion, but nothing quite like this.
I don't know what the state's thinking.
LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman not holding back.
You actually want to save lives, get us this funding.
Using an exclusive Fox 11 interview to pressure California Governor Gavin Newsom to fully fund Prop 36.
We will call him. We will send him a social media. We'll DM him. I'll say it right to the camera. Governor Newsom, if you're listening, get us this funding.
Last November,
social media might be the only way to actually get his attention, considering he spends so much of his time and his political career on social media. So may not be a bad idea, Mr. Hochman.
Almost 70% of Californians voted in favor of Prop 36 and tougher penalties for theft and drug crimes. But critics argue the law is stalling out after the governor approved $110 million, far short of the $400 million supporters argue is needed.
110 million after the legislature put that much money in there. Gavin Newsom, when he initially put his proposed budget, as is required by the California Constitution, is that the governor has to put forth a proposed budget. There was zero, nada, zilch. There was not one penny directed towards funding Prop 36 in the will of the voters. So keep that in mind. He may have signed off on this budget and that it included $110 million, but his initial proposed actual budget had $0 for Prop 36.
Without the funding, can you do what Prop 36 was voted on?
Slower. It's
said we need $400 million.
In Torrance Thursday night, dozens of residents packed a Prop 36 town hall, angry at Sacramento.
That's our tax dollars, and the things that we are actually asking for, can't we get it done?
Across Torrance in recent weeks, we've reported on break-ins, a South American crime ring using hidden cameras to target homes, and a 17-year-old shot and killed at a
on getting us mental health and drug addiction beds in our community.
A spokesperson from the governor's office tells me tonight that public safety is bigger than Prop 36, saying that California has invested $1.7 billion in public safety. We're live in Torrance tonight. Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Now, why does it seem like Gavin Newsom continues to oppose Prop 36? Why was he not a fan of Prop 36? Why is he not working with the proponents and the people who put forth Prop 36 or local DAs like Nathan Hochman down in LA trying to clean up our streets? It is an odd, perplexing thing for him to be so concerned about his own measures as opposed to the will of the people. Again, Mr. Democracy, Mr. This is why we're doing our redistricting and all that stuff. We have to save democracy from evil Trump. So we don't listen to the people here in our own state who overwhelmingly support a proposition by 70%. That's not democracy that Gavin Newsom believes in, but for some reason, now we have to go off on this redistricting special election. And I think they're right about the fact that there's hundreds of millions of dollars that they're going to spend towards this special election. I think it's going to be around $250, $300, $400 million. Some people estimate it's probably going to be over $500 million on this special election to get it done. Just because it's all a redistricting political ploy. It's one big presidential campaign ad for Gavin Newsom, but he couldn't spare $400 million for Prop 36, which again was voted on overwhelmingly by the people because they knew that crime was an issue in California. Maybe it's because it's his ego where he thought it wasn't my idea, so I can't take credit for this, but you could still work with it now and make yourself look better and say, I'm doing what the will of the people is and I'm helping and I'm funding Prop 36. But this is where Gavin Newsom gets it wrong. He said in that clip that it didn't address all of these different things. It didn't address like these theft crimes and all that stuff, and is only focused on drug penalties, which it is focused on drug penalties. So I have this pulled up here. This is from Ballotpedia. It says, yes, vote supported making changes to Prop 47, approved classifying certain drug offenses as in treatment mandated felonies, increasing penalties for certain drug crimes by increasing sentence lengths, or increasing sentences for theft based on the value of the property stolen. So there was this whole, if it wasn't $950, it was like this wobbler, is either a misdemeanor or a felony. This also cracked down, even though Gavin Newsom said right there it didn't have anything to do with organized crime. It actually does go into the number of people who are working together on tail theft or something like that. So Prop 36 does go after that. So he's wrong on that count that Prop 36 doesn't go after that point. He's trying to gaslight people into believing that Prop 36 doesn't cure all these issues. Now, maybe it doesn't go as far as all the stuff that the CHP is doing that he's sending into these different cities, But regardless, it helps, and it's the will of the people that this is what they want done. Why not take an all-the-above approach to solving crime, whether it's the increased penalties from Prop 36, what they're doing with the CHP? For some odd reason, he keeps pushing off Prop 36 as if it's some sort of illegitimate proposition that wasn't passed by the voters. And to his point, he talks about, well, whether crime is an issue or not. Crime is an issue in California. This was from last year. There was a 3.6% increase in violent crime from 2023. This was in 2024. And the value of cars stolen in California was over $2 billion last year. The 3.6 annual increase in violent crime was largely driven by increases in robberies and assaults, outpacing declines in homicides, while motor vehicle theft increased 6.7%. So there is an issue with vehicle theft, but violent crime from 2023 was on the rise, 3.6%. And this is something that I also want to bring up. This is from the Pacific Research Institute. They were breaking down these numbers regarding Gavin Newsom. It says violent crime in California, the Newsom years, 2019 to 2023. And he did this in this press conference. I didn't show it because the press conference was 30 minutes long. I didn't want to get into Gavin Newsom droning on about his anti-Trump and anti-Republican talking points. He showed pictures of different people from different red states saying that Alabama is more dangerous, that Louisiana is more dangerous, that Missouri is more dangerous. But the Pacific Research Institute just came out with this article back in June, and it did talk about and break down why these numbers are not completely accurate. Shocker. I know you're shocked that Gavin Newsom didn't put out correct numbers. Goes on to say, in order for Newsom's post on X to be mathematically correct, he would have had to use the figure of 1,892 homicides reported in the annually published Homicides in California 2023 edition from the California Department of Justice, which represents a homicide rate of 4.2 per 100,000 when adjusted for population. In fact, 929 homicides were reported by California law enforcement agencies to the FBI that were not reported to California DOJ, including data from the San Jose Police Department, 27 homicides, the City of Orange Police Department, 3 homicides, and the Montebello Police Department, which is 5 homicides. That means that according to the FBI, California's homicide rate is actually 4.95 per 100,000, still lower than Alabama, where the homicide rate was 10 per 100,000 with 524 victims. Oklahoma, it was 6.1, and Arkansas is 9 per 100,000. And why are the numbers off, you may ask? Well, there's a little bit of background that we have to talk about why these numbers are a little bit skewed. It says, in fact, no one really knows how much crime is committed in California by individuals who are in the state illegally, because under state law, SB 54, the California Values Act, sure, whatever. I mean, they just name these things, whatever it sounds great. They might as well just call it the California Free Puppies and Ice Cream Act, and that's not really what it's about. Or sanctuary state law prohibits collecting those statistics. So even though they're underreporting a lot of these homicides to the Department of Justice and to the FBI, there may be even more numbers that are going unreported because of SB 54 and sanctuary state policies. In 2023, the last full year statistics are available. California's violent crime rates were increasing. According to the California Department of Justice, violent crime rates rose 15.1% from 2018 to 2023 and 3.3% from 22 to 23. However, 28 jurisdictions failed to contribute statistics to DOJ. San Jose Police Department alone would have added the 27 homicides already mentioned, 3,782 aggravated assaults, just under 1,000 robberies. So now you have Gavin Newsom, who all of a sudden cares about being tough on crime. He's been governor since 2018, and these crime statistics have gone up in different ways. Different violent crimes have gone up. We saw from 2018 to 2023, it was a 15% increase. From 23 to 24, it was a 3.6% violent crime increase. Now, all of a sudden, he wants to get tough with CHP, with this big show of him at a press conference with CHP officers. And we all know why. We all know why he's doing this is, one, because he wants to thumb his nose at Republicans and Trump and pretend like he's got everything under control. 2, we know that he's doing this because he's got limited time left as governor of California to try and solve these issues. So if he can at least get ahead of it now so that the crime statistics come out later and show that they went down because he did this full court press with CHP officers, then he can use it going into the presidential election, which we all know this is all Gavin Newsom is doing, is running for president. But in reality, the fact that he has completely ignored Prop 36, he's completely ignored the will of the people, he refuses to work with the people about solving crime, and he's doing it his own way, shows that maybe Gavin Newsom doesn't really care about democracy as much as he says he does, because when it's the will of the people that he doesn't agree with, then it's not really truly democracy in his mind. So with that, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that this is all a show that Gavin Newsom cares about tackling crime, or do you think this is just another one of his political stunts in a long line of political stunts that is just trying to get him to the White House? So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.